It's time to clear the air, all right? Can Christians watch anime? Yes. End of video. Just kidding, let's talk about it. This is Checkpoint Church, a church for nerds, geeks, and gamers. I am your nerd pastor, Nate. Yes, we are really a church for nerds, geeks, and gamers, as in people that play video games and people that are into nerdy things. This includes anime. Yes, we think you can watch anime. For real, I don't understand the argument. So originally, I was going to be making a usual sermon video, but to be honest, I didn't have time this week, and to be even more honest, I think this video is more important. I keep getting the same comment over and over and over again on our YouTube channel. I think it's an important comment. I think it's an important question. People want to know, can Christians watch anime? Because for some reason, a lot of people think that we can't. I don't know exactly where this comes from. I'm not like totally sure where people are getting this idea from. I have a suspicion that most of the people making this argument are probably citing Romans 12, which is just what people cite whenever they want to hate things, which, side tangent, is totally ironic because Romans 12 is how to love deeper, not to hate farther. Let's not get into that one though. So instead of arguing against the folks that are going to be throwing the book at me, I want to argue for anime. So why can Christians watch anime? Because we can. Because we can. So why? I'll give you 3 reasons. There are probably more, but these are 3 that I think sum it up pretty well. Okay, number 1. This one is super easy to remember because it uses the same word 3 times. Reason number 1 is that a creative God created creatives. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. A creative God created creators. What's my scriptural backing for this? The whole thing. God, from beginning to end, is a creator God. In the beginning, God creates. In the end, God is the creator. Creative God. God made us. And in Genesis, it tells us, how did God make us? God made us in God's image. Okay, so we have a creative God. We have people that he created in God's image. Thus, the very act of our creation is an image of God, a reflection of the creator God. It is a holy act. Whenever we create something, we are doing something amazing, holy, and sanctified. Can we screw it up? Of course we can. Of course we can screw it up. But just because we're the ones screwing it up with our own brokenness doesn't change that the act of creation is a holy, transformative act. Full stop. Creation is creation is creation. If we are creating something new in the form of art, that is a reflection of the very creation of God. Even anime, even video games, anything that can be even slightly construed as art, which in my opinion is something that has been created, is an extension of the creative God. God made Halo. Okay, yeah, not literally, all right, but God did. God is the inspiration because the creator God created the creative. This should be the only argument. This should be the end of the video. I don't see how you can argue against this, but okay, second point. The second one requires a little bit of something that we like to call nuance. This is tricky for a lot of people to wrap our head around because we really like to deal in absolutes. But as we know, only the Sith deal in absolutes. Literally everything, I'm using this word unironically, literally everything creative is subjective. Everything that is created by a creator is experienced by the consumer. This is a subjective experience. There is no objective absolute that exists. So we can try to set boundaries here and we can say, I have discerned this, and my objective opinion of my subjective experience is that this is how everyone experiences this thing. But that isn't true. We can say it until we're blue in the face, but it doesn't make it reality. In both the Romans 12 argument as well as the Philippians 1 argument that people will try to make, Paul encourages us to discern what is good and of God. But we always seem to skip the verses that say whatever brings about love or whatever allows our love to abound more and more. We always seem to skip that part because do you know what that sounds like to me? Discernment, subjective, varying. Literally everything that we experience can be good for us or can be bad for us depending on who we are, what our past is, how we're experiencing it, how we might be receiving it in real time, what our personal past might look like, what our own baggage might look like. There is so much subjectivity that goes in this that to just say Harry Potter is bad, who says? So instead, I want to encourage us to accept this as reality. Art is subjective. Creativity is subjective. Thus, we have 2 choices. Number 1, we can throw the baby out with the bathwater and just say, nah, and kind of have this puritanical, cold turkey cutting off and throwing away everything. Or we can choose, and this is just my recommendation, we can accept that a creator God created creatives, and we can allow ourselves to practice holy discernment. We can look at holy art and discern it for ourselves. That's why the question, can Christians watch anime, is yes, because yes, they can, but maybe they shouldn't, because Christians is way too broad of a term. A better question to ask ourselves is, can I watch this thing? The answer could be yes. It could also be no. It just depends. It's a varying thing. So first and foremost, a creative God created creatives. Second, all of that creation is subjective and should be experienced with the holy practice. Notice I say practice of discernment. And number three, and probably my most controversial that I'm going to throw at you, is this one. I'm going to argue that it isn't sinful for Christians to watch anime, but that it is in fact sinful for Christians to not watch anime just because someone told them not to. Okay, whoa, right? Back off. I hear you. Obviously, I'm trying to cue some red flags with that one. What I'm actually saying by this is that it is sinful to push God's creative presence that might be present in that anime, that might be present in that art out of our lives without discerning it for ourselves. To me, there is little to no difference between just not watching something or not consuming something that could cause good in our lives and intentionally consuming something that we know to be detrimental. Either way, we are making the cognitive choice to push God further away from ourselves. That's why I say the holy practice of discernment. It takes practice. It takes time. It takes getting better at it. But if we never try, are we really any better for it? Some scriptural backing for this one. I don't know. The whole book of Jonah. Have you ever read Jonah? I feel like everybody knows Jonah in the belly of the whale. I mean, objectively, should Jonah have gone and lived with the Ninevites? No, he was terrified. He knew that they were going to be harmful. He knew that they were no good for him. He knew that he wouldn't be good in that place, but God's presence was there, and God's presence made a difference in that place. So by the act of Jonah running away, he was running away from God and God's presence. By not allowing God's presence to enter into his life, he was doing something just as bad as any other thing he could have done. Imagine for a second if Jesus had not gone to be with prostitutes and the tax collectors. Imagine if he had only gone to temple. Imagine if he had only gone and eaten with the Pharisees. Would he be as big of a deal as he is? Would he truly be the Son of God that was dwelling amongst the muck and sin and grime and darkness of the world? No, regardless of the what ifs, he didn't. Jesus dwelt amongst the tax collectors and the prostitutes and the scum of the earth. Why? Because God's presence was within them. Because regardless of how the world tried to objectively label them, these people were subjectively different than our expectation. And why were they different? Because a creative God creates creators, creates artists, and people who make and do good things, holy things, sanctified things, regardless of if they're believers, because spoiler alert, the people that Jesus hung out with weren't Christians. And just because said metaphorical tax collector might have made Demon Slayer instead of VeggieTales doesn't mean you can't watch it, because Christian is a subjective term. Because Jesus didn't say love Christians, he said love the world. And God so loved the whole world that he gave his only son. So now I want to give you a helpful framework, something that can hopefully help you in your holy practice of discernment. Because again, it is a practice. Whenever you are discerning whether something is watchable for you or not, whether you should play that game, watch that anime, watch that movie, read that book, before you experience it or as you are experiencing it, ask yourself along the way our three general rules. Does this story do good for me? And it's important that you ask for me, because this is subjective. Does it keep me from doing harm? And finally, is it helping me grow? If your answer to one of these questions is yes, then you are practicing discernment and you should watch that thing. You should experience that art. You should look for God in that media. So maybe the problem is that this question down below is the wrong question. Can Christians watch anime? Come on. It's an obvious yes. And why is it an obvious yes? Because the real question we're asking is, can God use anime? Can God use fill in the blank? And I'm here to tell you that if God can use me, God can use you, God can use anime. God can use One Piece. God can use Demon Slayer. Let's not limit God. The answer is always, always, always yes. So feel free to keep asking me in the comment section down below. I have a feeling they're going to keep coming. I'm going to point you right here to this video because the answer is a 100% resounding yes. Now, if the question is, should you watch that anime? I can't answer that for you. But what I can tell you is that God is present in that art. God is present in that creativity, and God can use it if God wants to. And to all of you in the comment section that keep asking if I'm going to talk about the One Piece Skypiea arc, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. You keep asking for it, so clearly it's got a bunch of you in knots. So a definite maybe. With that, I want to close this time with these 3 things that I believe to be true about every single one of you beautiful anime watchers out there. You stop feeling guilty, stop feeling bad, and know that God loves you, that we love you. We want community with you here at Checkpoint Church. Third, and most importantly, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. You are a creative created by a creator, God. The world is better because you are in it. So go watch some anime. And until next time, bye-bye!